Long time. Mr. Clarence Harris, who is a resident here in Fort Gibson now, but has been a resident in Braggs in this area for a lot of years. And I feel like that it's probably men like Mr. Harris who has probably forgotten more about the local history than a lot of us will ever realize. But today, we want to interview him a little bit, and if you have questions to ask Mr. Harris here when we finish with some personal interview about his immediate life, whether it's about his personal life, school, going to school, that kind of thing, or whether it's just about historical facts about the Fort Gibson area or the state historical facts, then make it a point to ask him. And if you think of a question, you want to jot it down, do so you won't forget it at the end of our interview, so that we'll have time to maybe ask him the question and get an answer from him. First few questions I'd like to ask Mr. Harris are pertaining to his own personal life, and to give you a little bit of background about who he is, where he's from, what he's done. Mr. Harris, where were you born?
Born down in Madison County, Arkansas in 1887, 11th day of February.
That makes you 98 years old.
98 years old. Was 11th last February.
Then if you make it the 11th of this coming February, you'll be...
I'll be 99.
Now that's hard to imagine for us to think in terms of years when most of you in here may be 14 and 15, but that's a long time, isn't it? Where'd you go to school?
I went to school in the country around Huntsville, Arkansas, which was the county seat of Madison County. And we were farmers and we rented, and one time we moved to Huntsville, and my dad traded for a living.
What grade did you get to?
And I was in the 8th grade then when we lived in town. And I went, them days we called it 12th reader. Now it'd be high school. And, but I didn't finish that. We left there in September and come to Bragg in 1904. And I didn't finish the 12th reader, we called it.
How many students were in your school?
I had 5 subjects, sir.
How many students were in your school?
Oh, sometimes many as 75, handled by one teacher. From the first reader, we didn't have no primer then, the first reader, and went to the 12th and then used it. That's high school. And he had all them readers from the first clear to high school. Well, you call it high school now, I had readers then. That's what we had. When I lived in town, they had the 12th reader was upstairs, and the grades were downstairs in the same building.
I see. How far did you have to go to school?
Well, different places. We moved a lot. Daddy was a renter. Never did own our home till 3 years before we left there. We bought our own home, and didn't have it paid for when we left there.
Did they run a school bus by and pick you up every morning?
No, sir. No, we walked to school. Me and my 2 brothers went to school, and our lunch bucket was a little half-gallon bucket, and Mother fixed 3 biscuits with butter and salt and molasses between those as our dinner. And we had 2 of them apiece in that little half-gallon bucket.
Did the boys and girls sit together in
No,
the
sir.
schoolroom?
The girls were on one side of the house and the boys on the other, except one school building where I went was a log building, just one room, no box heater set out in the middle of the floor to heat with, and us older boys had to cut the wood. It was right in the woods, you know. We had to cut the wood, and they had 4 long benches, one set on one side, you know, on each side of that stove, one in front, and we sat right around that stove in winter, keep warm. And we carried water from an old spring down there in the holler. And the red oak leaves was on that water. We'd have to rake the leaves back to get the water. Now I guess they'd say it'd kill you, but we lived over it.
We thought you'd probably have a big electric water fountain there to drink out of.
Oh, no. The girls had a dipper and the boys had a dipper, and we drank out the same, us boys drank out the same dipper and the girls drank out the same dipper, and they were on. But that place where in that log schoolhouse where we sat right around that stove, of course the girls was on one side of the stove and the boys on the other, but anyway. And the teachers sat right around that stove with us. Never will forget that lady, her name was Rutledge.
Did she make you learn assignments like learn poetry and stuff like that?
Oh, no, we got our lessons right there. And we had old McGuffey readers, but I never did use a blueback speller that they talk so much about. And we had different spellers of that, but...
Did you have to recite any poetry, learn any poems?
Oh, well, the lady, certain times we would, not every day, like that, but certain times we'd have a day that we'd have recitations and we'd have to memorize them.
Can you remember any poems that you had to remember?
One, I don't know what you'd call it, it really isn't a poem, but I was about 13 years old. And this is appropriate for somebody that age. In other words, but somebody old as I am now, it isn't. And the way it goes, I got up one early morning. I went out one early morning, everything was up humming all among pumpkin vines, the automobile was humming. I took an early half-mile walk, as all young people ought to do, and in a cow trail, I met a nice lady. She bowed, I stirred. I bowed, she stirred. I sniped a kiss, she smacked my face. Behave yourself, said she. Just then, an old rampage who was feeding sheep nearby squared off like a ton of bricks, sir, and struck me with his head. And I landed in a pond that was chock full of frogs and filthy water. I crawled out quite quick and picked up my hat while she stood by and laughed at me. Well, I heard she got married yesterday. I'll forgive, but I won't never forget the lady I met in the cow trail.
And you remember that lady from 85 years ago?
Well...
If you had been 13 at that time, that'd been about 85 years ago.
About 85 years ago.
How many of your students could remember something 3 years ago?
Well, a lot of things happened back then that I don't remember too, but anyway, I memorized that at that time. And can't think of that lady's name, but she was my teacher. And I had to recite that before this whole school, see, and that way, and then we'd have spelling matches on Friday evening, after evening recess, we'd spell from them, and
did you have dress codes then? Did you have to wear certain things? How'd you get your clothes?
Well, we just wore and we wore overalls and what we could get.
What about shoes?
I had one pair of shoes a year. My daddy always bought us boys boots, and the girls, I had two sisters, and they got shoes, and us boys got boots. And that pair of boots had to go all winter, and the next summer we went barefooted. That was all we had for that year. The last pair of boots he bought me it wasn't cowboy boots, but he gave $2.25 for them. And I was about maybe 14, I don't know, 13, 14.
Was this in Huntsville, Arkansas?
Huntsville, Arkansas. And Huntsville is the county seat of Madison County, and there's not a mile of railroad in that county. Everything has to be hauled out and everything brought in. Did then with wagons and teams. Of course, it's trucks now, but back then it was wagons. My dad freighted for a living from Huntsville to Springdale, when I was closest railroad.
And you left Huntsville and you went to western Oklahoma. How'd you get there?
Well, we went in they called them wagon trains then. There's 9 wagons traveling together and two horsebackers who were riding horses with their horses along with them wagons. And of the evening they'd ride on in front and find where they could buy feed for their teams. And there they'd stop and wait till the wagons come on, they'd get the feed for their teams. Then the first campground they found, well, they all camped together. And
since you didn't have lights on those wagons, I guess you pulled over at night and found a motel.
No, We parked them, took them teams out and fed them in the feed box on the back, and some of them slept in them wagons, but some of them slept under the wagons too, on the ground, back them days. Yeah, my daddy, I don't remember coming through here, but he said went through Fort Gibson, crossed to Arkansas, right down there at the mouth of Grand River on a ferry boat, went in Spokane, in just a small place. And
how long did you stay in Western Oklahoma before you came back to Arkansas?
well, we went out there in September, and we went back to Arkansas in March. Daddy's father passed away. My grandfather passed away down there in December. And when Daddy got that letter, well, he wouldn't stay. We went on out to south and west of Oklahoma City, in there where the town of Lindsay now is. Lindsay, yeah. There wasn't no town there when we was out there.
Did you come back from Western Oklahoma the same way you went through?
No. After Daddy's father passed away and he got that letter, I remember him getting a letter about Grandpa passing away, and I wasn't, well, I like till February being 4 yet. But that letter come to us, and it was addressed to them shaded letters. You understand what a shaded letter is? Wider in places, you know, with a pen. Well, my uncle could make them. I don't know why, I never could, but he could. And he addressed that letter, and when they got it, the fashion was then the death message in that letter, when it was addressed like that, make the postal authorities be more careful with that letter, you know. I reckon that's what it's for. I'm guessing at that, but anyway. And I remember them saying, well, it's somebody's passed away when they got that letter, when they opened it, well, it's my grandfather, my father's father. And I tore Daddy up, and he wouldn't stay out there, and he done bought him a sod plow. All of these farmers, you know, and they bought sod plows and breaking out that sod. All that land wasn't even in cultivation, but just had that prairie grass, you know, all over the prairies.
When you crossed back down here at Fort Smith?
When we crossed back down to Van Buren. When we went back home, Daddy went back by himself without a wagon. Well, we got down there to Van Buren to cross the Arkansas River going home. I had to cross in the ferry boat, of course, and drove up. I stand up in front of the wagon. I never will forget this. I got scared. If I had a shotgun, I'd kill that little that colored boy if I could. Oh yeah. But anyway, there's another wagon behind wanting to drive on that boat. And why Daddy didn't know it, I don't know. But that colored boy come out there and took our team by the bits and went backwards, leading them up so this other wagon could get on behind us, you know. And it scared me, of course. If I'd have been big enough, because I had a shotgun, I'd have killed that colored man. Oh, I can see him doing that to this day. So, and then I remember they had some kind of power pulling that boat, what it was. I don't know if it was steam, gasoline, or what, but anyway, he went back in that was on the side of the boat, and that colored man went back in there and turned that power on. We went across. We landed over there, drove up the streets of Van Buren, and from there on home, I don't remember one thing. We went to grandmother in March, and I had one brother born while we was out there in Oklahoma, and I was 4 years and 3 days older than him. He was born the 14th February, and I was born the 11th.
Well, what year did you come back to Indian Territory?
Come back to Indian Territory, and down at Bragg's. We come back down there in 1904. In September, I don't remember what day we come here, and it's about 125 miles from Bragg's to where I drove up down there. And we was 5 days on that road with 2 covered wagons coming out there. I drove one, my daddy drove one in 1904.
You'd been about how old then?
Oh, I was 16 years old then. I left me a sweetheart down there in Arkansas and went back a year later and was going to bring her. She done married somebody else.
Well, what did you do for food on a trip like that?
Well, Mother cooked. And you couldn't buy a loaf of bread. Nobody had a loaf of bread. The store didn't keep it them days. Mother just made up them biscuits and baked them in an old Dutch oven on a campfire. And she'd make up them, we called them biscuits. Of course, they was better than the biscuits you buy out of the store now, but about one of them was about all you could eat. But anyway, she'd bake them up, put them in there, and Daddy would, when we'd camp, he'd build a campfire. And time we'd take care of the teams and everything, where there'd be a lot of coal there, and she'd make up them biscuits and put them in that old Dutch oven and put the lid on it and scoot it in that campfire and put coal all over that lid, you know, them fire coal, and bake them biscuits as good as your oven would bake them. And they come out there, they'd be about so big, but they were good biscuits back them days.
You said when you went back to Arkansas to check on your sweetheart, she'd already gotten married. Did you come back here and find another girl?
Oh, Lord, yeah, I come back to Oklahoma and found me a girl here, born down in Choctaw Nation, and but they moved up there to Bragg. She was 18 going on 19, and I was 20 going on 21, and we lived together a little better than 72 years and never had an air fight, not one. And I lost her about, it'd soon be 6 years ago, and then I moved up there to my nephew's where he can take care of me. Look after me. I take care of myself, live by myself, but I got up there where he can kind of look after me.
Were there free schools in Oklahoma when you
No, sir,
first came here?
no free schools. There were no free schools, no roads. In fact, there wasn't hardly any roads. People just drove where they wanted. If there wasn't a fence or something there, they'd make a road, just drive, and wagons, all. There wasn't no cars, trucks, and television, radios, and there's nothing. We've been here 81 years. Yeah, we come here 81 years this last September.
What about people meeting for a worship service? Were there churches?
There wasn't no churches. There wasn't no churches, there wasn't no singing, there wasn't no Sunday school, and I'd been used to all of that down there, see, and come out here and I was lost. Boy, I could sing back them days, but I can't sing anymore.
What'd your father do for a living?
Farmed. He farmed.
When the bell rings, Jimmy Hunt, come by the office.
What was that?
What did your father do for a living?
Farmed. Farmer. And we farmed with what we call a double shovel, you know. We go around the road. That double shovel had two plows on it. One wide plow behind run in the middle, and the narrow one run front with the corn, you know. And then we didn't have no corn planters, so I dropped a many acre of corn by hand.
You used to grind the corn?
Grind. I went to them old water mills, they ground it, yeah.
Anything ever happened to you like that you remember in your mind?
Oh, yes, I was going to an old water mill one time, horseback, and I had a bushel of shell corn in a meal sack. Kind of heavy like sack, you know, and it'll hold 2 bushel of corn, but when I had to go to mill, I'd go horseback, and I would put that bushel of corn, or us and Mother would, us children and Mother. Daddy would be gone freighting or hauling lumber or doing something to try to make a living for us kids. And he'd go to make him, we'd offer, I've known him to work 2 weeks with him, and he'd wagon and team and come home and have less than $25 for 2 weeks.
I see.
And us kids hadn't seen him for 2 weeks. I was back when I was 10, 11, along there. And he come in on Saturday evening, you know, and first thing that we took care of was that team, because that was our living. You didn't have team, you just about didn't have nothing. And cows for your milk and butter. And
We think in terms of those being the good old days, but they were tough days, weren't they?
well, we had to work, that's right. Yeah, we had to work.
Students, do y'all
When
have...
I come home from school them days, there was always a job if it wasn't something nothing but carrying apples in off the out of the orchard, putting them in the cellar for winter, you know,
Right.
where they wouldn't freeze.
Mr. Harris, let me have an opportunity here to ask the students if they have a couple questions that maybe they'd like to ask you pertaining to maybe the history of the state or this area. Students, do you have a question this time you'd like to ask Mr. Harris? How about anything that he's talked about? None? Okay, well, go ahead and finish telling us about you were going to mention something about the torn meal sack.
Oh, I had to go through a gate. Mother had put that bushel of corn on the horse and put half of it on one side and half on the other side. And then I'd get up on there and without any saddle and go to mill, the water mill. Water to put in the birds that ground the corn. So I had to go through a gate. And the rail fence come up to that gate post and a wire around there. And when I got down and opened the gate and led the horse through, when it come through where that wire caught that sack and told it about that corn. Well, that corn all run out on the ground on that side, and that let it fall off the horse on the other side, and there it was down there on the ground. Some folks lived up there with the name of Martin. Told Martin, the little man, I never did know. But anyway, it's right up there. And I didn't know nothing to do on to go up there and get somebody to come down there and sew up that sack. So I went up there and the old lady, I didn't even know their name. I said, lady, I wonder if you could come down here. I didn't know there was anybody else there. I said, lady, I wonder if you'd come down here and sew up a meal sack for me. That wire on the gate post tore the sack and spilled my corn down. She called her daughter. That daughter come out that she's a grown lady, but she had on a dress and dragging the floor. Dragging the ground. Yeah, and she had to said, "You get needle and thread and go down that shore." Well, that wire just split that sack again. That girl took that needle and thread, went down there, and she sewed it up. Me and her picked up every grain of that corn, put it back in that sack, and put it back on that horse. And I got on that horse and went on the mill and got my meal.
I see.
That's right.
We have some more students that will be coming in this next hour, and we've got to let this group go to their second hour, their third hour class. So we're going to give you a break right here, and we're going to bring some more students in the next hour. Okay, students. In class this morning, we've got an area resident who's with us as a speaker concerning the local history of Fort Gibson and also some state history. This man, name is Clarence Harris. Mr. Harris is a longtime resident of this county and this immediate community, Fort Gibson and Braggs. To tell you exactly how long, first let me tell you, yes sir.
We left Madison County, Arkansas in 1904 in September and came to Braggs. That's been 81 years ago this last September we come to Braggs. And I was 16 years old then. And we came from Huntsville, with the county seat of Madison County, and it's 30 miles, or about 30 miles, east of Ferry, on East Sea, over in the mountains. And I only went to one school, and I was in the 12th reader when we called them readers, and we didn't know nothing about grades back in them days, but anyway, I was in the 12th, but I never did finish it. Of course, I'd be high school now. I mean, I'm guessing it would be high school, but I never, when we come to Braggs, there wasn't no free school, no church, no singing, no picture shows, nothing like that. And of course, we had no cars, no trucks, and the young people just about had to stay at home and walk.
How'd you make a living over at Braggs when you got there?
Farm.
At Braggs?
Farm. We farmed. That's all we. That's all. My father farmed all of his life, never did do nothing. Well, of course, them 2 years we moved to town, and he made a living in Creighton. He wasn't farming, but that just lasted 2 years, so we moved back to the farm. And 3 years before we left there, well, we bought a farm. After grandmother died, Daddy bought the heirs out and moved on that old place, 77 acres, and he got $400 for that 77 acres with a good house and barn on it. And of course, it's on the hillside, and it's rocky, and almost a lot of it is pasture. But anyway, we lived there 3 years, and I'd been helping Daddy make crops with an old double shovel, you know, on 2 or 3 years, 3 or 4 years before we left there. We laid our corn ground off both ways with a Georgia stock, and then I'd go in there and drop that corn by hand, and we'd cover it and plow that corn both ways, and didn't have to hoe it too much. But we had to lay that corn ground off both ways. When I went plowing with a double shovel, I'd go down on one side of the road and come back on the other side, around the road.
Let me tell the class, Mr. Harris, that if y'all can catch his age, Mr. Harris will be 99 the 11th day of February. His memory is very good.
Coming February, I'll be 99 years old, born in 1887.
Now, that's hard for us to comprehend and look back, but when he said 1887, that was the year that you were born. That was before we had the conveniences that we now have. Do you remember when the first electricity, you all had the first electricity in your house?
That's a very long time after we come to Bragg's. There wasn't even no electricity in Bragg's. I lived in Bragg's 62 years in the same house, and there wasn't no electricity in Bragg's till about 12 years before I moved from down there.
Who produced electricity for you?
Well, I had the first electric outfit there. I had a service station and no lights. I bought a little breed for my service station, and I found out that this guy wanted electric lights, and that one it wasn't big enough, and I went back and bought a bigger one. Moved it in there, and one of my friends come to me and wanted to know who my partner was in that business. And I said, I ain't got no partner. I owe for that stuff. He said, oh, you don't? And I said, I sure do, but I paid for it. And then when the OG&E come through there, the governor made them go to that lake down there, see. And when they come, of course, they included Bragg's in the deal, and so they come there, and I happened to be city clerk there at that time, and they come to me and wanted to have an election down there and said, we'll pay for it. Of course, the town had no money, you know. Said, we'll pay for the election. So they had an election, and they got franchised, and they paid for the election, and they brought me $10, you know, to me. But anyway...
How many houses were provided electricity for down there?
About 60 houses. But anyway, and they said, we'll have you sell your plant, but they didn't. I pretty give it away when that. And I kept the little one. I had one of those little cola plants. As long as the light was on, it'd run, and when you turned the light off, it stopped, you know. But it's just a 15 kilowatt.
Excuse me again. Class, let me bring you up to date. First our group that we had in here, we went over some personal situations, some personal life, Mr. Harris. What he remembers from about age 4 years old and up, and when he first came here to Oklahoma from Huntsville, Arkansas. We'll not go back into that because we do have it on videotape, and I suppose at one time or other, Mr. Mayor will make that tape available for this class to see. I think you'll find some interesting information, some facts about Mr. Harris's life. What we would like to do this hour, though, is give you an opportunity. Hopefully you can be thinking of some questions that pertain to the historical facts of our community, which we are living in a very noteworthy community as far as the state is concerned, but also about the state of Oklahoma itself. some of the things that maybe you'd like to know that you perhaps have studied about in your Oklahoma history classes. But be thinking about questions that you'd like to ask Mr. Harris. Keep in mind, he's been here a long time, and he's seen a lot of changes take place, not only locally, but also statewide. So if you have some questions to ask Mr. Harris, we want to give you an opportunity to do so. Mr. Mayor, since you teach this class of Oklahoma history, we want to give you an opportunity maybe to ask Mr. Harris some questions that perhaps maybe he can give you some answers to. Do you have some questions for him?
I'd like to know about statehood. Could you give some information about statehood when Oklahoma became a state today?
I didn't understand.
Okay, do you recall the day in which Oklahoma became a state?
Oh, yes. Me and the wife got married the 21st day of July, 1907, and Oklahoma come into the state. No, I can't tell you the day, but it was in November after that, in 1907. That was the month, but I can't give you the exact date.
I guess people were pretty excited about that then, weren't they?
Oh, yes, and they tried to get the county seat to Guthrie's. I don't mean county seat, I mean the capital.
Right.
Capital. Guthrie, they wanted, and they tried to want it out there, and of course Oklahoma City wanted it there. And of course, I wasn't out there, but I quite a stir up about it too.
How did Indian Territory feel about statehood?
What's that?
How did the Indian Territory feel about becoming a state?
Well, there were a lot of full-bloods here then, and Indians, and of course, I couldn't talk to them, or I couldn't understand them. But anyway, I worked in a store a long time after I moved to Bragg's, and I finally learned some of their lingo, like I talk to them. But back then, I couldn't know. I'd see them, but they talked to one another, but I couldn't understand nothing they talked about.
Do you think they were against becoming a state?
Well, I just don't know. I just don't know. I know we didn't have no law then. There wasn't no county, no sheriff, and there wasn't no law. And it wasn't nothing uncommon to see somebody walk down the street with a pistol buckled on them. But it was a penitentiary offense to transport whiskey anywhere in Indian Territory, what it was then. Yes, sir. You better not be carrying no whiskey around. You end up self-killing. Oh, yeah, they had down them days, there's a year and a day to transport whiskey in this state, and the state got away for a long time after statehood. Indian Territory, what it was back then. I know one boy that made Surecross, a man down there, little Bragg, and he went home, his folks lived down in Arkansas, and that man told him, see, Fort Smith, they've had open saloons for years, and that man just laughed and said to him that he made Surecross with it, and that old man gave him 5 acres of cotton to work for him that summer. And of course he had to come back and pick out his cotton crop, and when he was going home to visit his folks, the old man said, bring him back a little vial when he come through Fort Smith, And he tried it. He got caught in Salso, and that man went to penitentiary for a year and a day. He sure did.
The penalty was pretty severe, wasn't it?
Oh, yes, yeah. His year and a day of Southtown transport whiskey before statehood.
What about the land rush? Do you remember when people got excited about the land rush?
Oh, no, we wasn't here then. Most of that was up around Enid, up in there. I knew one man that told me, and he was in that run, in that land run. He told me, he said, I had a spotted horse, and he rode that horse from the Kansas line. He was up in Kansas. And he said he rode bareback. And he got down there and staked him off some land, Old man Prey, I don't know if you've ever heard of him. He's dead now. But he's in that run. He said He got him 80 acres of land up there, and he said, I owned that 10 years and sold it for $10,000, and that's the most money I ever. But of course, he's worth a lot more than that. He finally moved to Bragg, him and his family. Worth a lot of money then.
Mr. Mary, you have another question?
What kind of town was Fort Gibson then?
Sir?
What kind of town was Fort Gibson?
Well, I hauled a load of cotton to Fort Gibson in 1908. My first crop I made after me and my wife married, I lived over in Gooseneck Bend, and I crossed the river down yonder on that old railroad bridge that used to be down there, and come up here and sold that load of cotton to them. Oh, the guy that built that had that. What was it? I can't think of his name now, but anyway, Jim something. Pierce, Jim Pierce. Used to buy cotton here, and he bought cotton at Bragg's later on after that. But I hauled a load of cotton here in 1908, and when I got back home, paid the lady her rent. I was 75 cents further in debt than I was when I started picking that load of cotton. Looked out there and a cotton patch, and I said, well, that's what I'm going to do. I might as well give the cotton patch to the landlady and move. And that's what I done. Went back across the river to Bragg. Moved across that. I crossed that river down there on that old ferry boat, one of them white caps, we call them. Have that old boat just rocking like that. And that ferryman say, unhook that kingdom and unhook your check lines. So we don't know what's going to happen. Them white caps will be jumping in that boat.
I guess in 1908 we had street lights in town and paved highways and streets and things like that. Or did Fort Gibson look that way?
No.
What did it look like?
Fort Gibson had no street lights nor nothing when in 1908. No.
How many people actually lived here in this community?
Well, I wouldn't know about that because I lived over in Gooseneck Bend, see? And but somebody had about 5 acres of cabbage right down there at the bottom of the door, and I drove by that cabbage patch that day. I thought that the biggest cabbage patch I ever saw. Oh, yeah.
Were there a lot of stores here in town?
Oh, yeah. Yeah. And there's a lot of business going on. There used to be a lot of business going on. I worked in a store down at Bragg's for 5 years. And the store was Herzog Trading Company. Ike Herzog, I reckon, I don't know if any of these folks still live here or not, but they used to. And Bill, him and Bill owned that store down there together. And I worked for him, and Bohan was managing the store. And in the fall, they done a big credit business in the fall, and cash sales and collections and all of them was run $17,000 a day in that one store. That's right. But they had a general store. Now there ain't no general stores down there. None of them. No, there ain't one.
So there was a lot of business going on at that time.
That's right. But even way back in them days, you could buy a loaf of bread in a lot of them stores. They didn't keep it. Nobody wanted bread much like they do now.
They baked their own, didn't they?
They baked their own. That's right.
Mr. Murray, you have another question?
Jumping ahead to Camp Gruber, you remember that when it began to be built and the purpose of it? Gruber?
Oh, all of that land belonged to the government. See, that land, in fact, I had one place out there, 40 acres, that I'd bought for $2,000, and the man I bought it off of paid $3,775 for it. But it had a good house and barn on it, and so he wanted to go to California, and I bought it off of him for $2,000, and I kept it 10 years and finally got it paid for. And the government come along and took it away from me for $914.40. That land belonged to the government.
Do you remember when the soldiers first came over there?
Oh, yeah.
What year was that?
41.
Did you ever have any dealings with them?
Why, I mean, there's 5 families of them lived there with me and the wife. Me and the wife were living, I had a 6-room house, me and the wife lived in 2 rooms, and the other 4 rented out. Them soldiers' wives that wanted to run that camp, they wanted to be there with their husbands, and they paid you $10 a week for any kind of room. That's $40 a month, you know. And all you had in there was a little 3-burner oil stove and a water bucket, 10 cups for them to drink out of, and a bed for them to sleep on. $10 a month, a week, $10 a week, $4 a month.
You remember the German prisoners?
Oh, yes, they walked down that, and listened to them German prisoners. Of course, our soldiers are trained too, but them, you talk about marching them, there's always a gal going off something when there's marching them down through town, and every foot moved at the same time, and every arm moved at the same time. I'm telling you, them soldiers were trained.
You have another question, Mr. Mayor?
What did the German soldiers do down there?
What did they do?
Yeah, did they have them do work while they was prisoners?
Oh, yes, they'd load them up. The engineers is out on that camp, you know, and so they take their truck and go down there to the place where the compound, I guess you'd call it, where they kept them German prisoners, and load them up. Just all of them could stand in the back of that truck and haul them out there to a job. I forgot what they give them, but they paid them a little something when they worked, you know. And but I forgot how much it was. It seemed like 10 cents an hour anyway, it was pretty cheap for labor. But they'd have them loading sand trucks and hauling, oh, they studied a lot of that camp, you know, and they'd haul that Bermuda sod with it. And then they walked a lot of them ditches out of that camp, let the water out of there, rock them up. And then they built them big posts there on going in them gates. The German prisoners did all of that.
Were they hard workers?
I never was out when they was working out there. I don't know. Some of them tell me they was, and some said they wasn't. They said they had to show them everything. Naturally, they had to show them what they had to do, I guess. I went to Texas in 1910 and worked at a big sawmill down there where they had a planer mill where they had a lot of Bohemians worked with them. They couldn't talk English either. But they give me a Bohemian as a partner. They worked on 2 and 2, you know, and I'd show him what I wanted to do, and he'd do most of the work. Unless it took both of us to do it. Of course, if it took both of us to handle that, we was loading cars and lumber and stuff like that. And for most of the time, we both had to work. I generally stay on the outside and put that lumber in that car, and he'd stack it in, load them in the car.
Could you tell us anything about the Dawes Commission?
Do you remember anything about the Dawes Commission?
No, I don't remember a thing about it, except just hearing other people talk about it. But I've heard of that name. No, I don't know nothing about them. Not one thing.
What about the Indians, the local Indians that were here at that time when you were a young man here?
They'd come in that store, and when I worked down there, and they'd come in there and point at what they wanted and jabber off something. Them days, the customer stayed on the outside the counter, and the clerk was behind the counter, and you had to go get what you wanted, you know. And, I would finally learn some of it, you know. Tobacco was Charlie, then you go to their tobacco for them, and what did they call? Bishop, that's meat, bishop. That's all I remember. That's all I remember, that painting. So,
How about Tahlequah? Could you tell us anything about the city of Tahlequah then?
no, I can't. Back when we come to this country, we come through Tahlequah, and I never went back to Tahlequah no more till I went back to Arkansas to visit. And we come out here and I've worked many a day for 50 cents a day, many a day, till we come here. After we come here on it, of course, when we come here, all the land belonged to the Indians when we come here back in 1940. Everybody, all them farmers was renting. Them Indians, they didn't work that land. And not very many of them. There was a few of them that worked their land, but very few. And they rented it out. The white man rented it, and then he worked it, and the Indian just barely, sometimes didn't haul all the rent on away. Just leave the land piled up down there and they'd haul it away. I've seen them set the fire and burn it in the spring.
Could you tell us anything about the Depression?
About the Depression? Well, that Depression was pretty tough. You couldn't buy flour, you couldn't get no flour, and the wife bought some Capricorn flour and made some biscuits. They beat cornbread for breakfast, but they wasn't good like that.
You mean there was a time when you had to eat cornbread for breakfast?
That was in World War I. That's right. You couldn't buy no flour in World War I. They rationed that flour. And one old man down there at Bragg's Hudson, he bought him some flour, took it home, put it in his cottonseed bin, them flour sacks. Boy, them guys found out he bought that flour, and they went down there and got it, took it away from him. That was in World War I, 1918.
So you can remember eating cornbread 3 times a day?
Well, Lord, yeah. Year my brother Charlie was born down there in Arkansas in 1901. We had a good wheat crop, and it turned off dry, and we didn't make no corn. And when we threshed that wheat, had 15 acres, made 300 bushels. And we had to give 100 bushels for rent, and that left us. And we didn't make enough corn to fatten our hogs for meat, and we had to feed them hogs some of that wheat. But that back in the days when we made our living at home, we didn't go down and buy nothing but a little coffee. Dad and Mother and us kids didn't even get none of that. In fact, we didn't want that coffee them days. But after I got up growing then, I drank some coffee, and I'd go out and harness my mules for the team of the morning, spit up my breakfast, and I quit drinking coffee, and I quit doing that, and I ain't drank no coffee since. I don't drink coffee now. No, I don't drink coffee.
Could you tell us anything about the Dust Bowl?
About what?
About the Dust Bowl here in Oklahoma.
No, that's in western Oklahoma more so. We didn't know so much about it here.
You didn't hear any stories about it or nothing?
Huh?
Did you hear any stories about the Dust Bowl?
No.
No one that came from that part of the state back here that you remember talking with?
No.
How about the books of Grapes of Wrath?
How about the books of the Grapes of Wrath? Do you remember anything about that?
No. Never went to school no more after I come to over. There wasn't no school to go to.
Well, what did the young people do here? What did you do at the age of these people here? What did you do for fun? Did you dance?
We had them. Why, yeah, after I got up, I went to them dancing. I danced all night, but that day we got up to be grown.
Oh.
Yeah.
Well, when you were a teenager, did you go to the movies and things like
There
that?
wasn't no movies.
Well, what'd you do for fun?
Well, we went hunting, we went fishing, we went swimming, something like that, and we had to walk or go horseback or something. There wasn't no cars, there wasn't no trucks, and there wasn't no law. There wasn't no law in these towns. Only the United States Marshal drop off the train here once in a while, and you never did know when he was coming or when he was going to leave after he got here.
Do you remember a United States Marshal?
Yes, sir.
What do you remember about him?
And I just remember Sonny Boy. I just remember his name and seeing him. I had no business dealing with him. It was all whatever.
Did you hear any stories about him?
No. He didn't talk very much. He might come to Bragg and step off that train going south of a morning towards Fort Smith. Went through there about 10 o'clock. He might step off of that train coming to the north, and that evening when it went back north, or he might catch it and go back north, or he might stay till the next day. You never didn't know what he was going to do when he come, or what he come for, or when he's going to leave, or when he's coming back, or anything back.
Do you have to buy a ticket?
No. No, I told that them railroad company hauled him free. He got on the train whenever he, anywhere. Of course, they didn't make no special stops for him, but wherever they stopped, he could get off. And when the train come back by, he could get back on it. Got their pay. Had to keep peace on that train.
What did people do for courting back in those days? Dating.
What did people do to date or court? When did they start courting, and what did they do when they courted?
When they courted, young folks?
Yes.
Well, when I courted, I walked down the railroad about 2 miles to where my wife's dad's mother lived. And me and the wife get in that room in there, and we court all evening. Sometimes I get up, tell her goodbye, and back home I go, and back the next Sunday I do the same thing.
Once a week?
That's right. And so the wife had to have a boyfriend before me and her got to court, and that was quite a bit older than she was. And her father didn't like it. In fact, wouldn't let him come there. And that went on, and the people around over the country, and when me and the wife got to court, some of them said, that old man will run you off up there. And I said, well, you just have to do it. So one day I walked down the railroad, you know, and in the spring of the year, the hawks have been out catching the little chickens. And that's that old man out there in the woods with his shotgun. And the road went up to the house. I was leaving the railroad, going up the house, and I'm close to the railroad. I seen that old man stand over there, that shotgun. I said, you need to be watching me, that shotgun. I'm going to the house, and I'm on the road. No man never paid no mind to me. Way out far, he come off the house. I got the house. I said, what's your dad doing down there with that shotgun? She said he's watching for hawks catching the chickens. That's back now in 1907. We courted from the first day of the year until the 21st day of July and got married. Believe it or not. She's 19 and I was 20 going on 21. She was 18 going on 19. We lived together 72 years.
You mean
She's like
between
15 days of being 90 when she passed away, and here I am 98.
You mean from Sunday to Sunday, you didn't pick up the phone and call her every night?
There wasn't no phone. No, there wasn't no phone.
When Sunday afternoon, you drive your car over and take her out to get a coat? Oh, you walk?
Well, sometimes I went horseback. I had a horse and saddle, but most of the time I walked.
We've always heard that was the good old days. It didn't sound like it was the good old days.
It wasn't. No. Of course, I had a horse and saddle, but that horse hadn't worked too much through the week, or I didn't ride it on Sunday.
Do you remember when the first cars came into existence?
Yes. Deep Boys and Pat Bragg brought one. What make of car was that? I forgot what it was. But anyway, he'd come to Bragg's. That was after 1907, when me and my wife been married. 2 or 3 years when that happened. Oh, I'd hear of them cars around here in yonder, but I'd never seen one.
How old were you when you got your first car?
Well, let's see, 30-some years old. I got my first car in World War I. I thought I was going to have to go to the Army, and me and the wife had no children, and so I bought me a car and learned to drive, but about 10 days before the armistice was signed, I got a card out of the mailbox, subject to call anytime. I never was called. I had two brothers that was called, but they was farmers too, and they reclassified them and sent them back home, you know. They never did have to go, but they had families and children, and I guess that's the biggest. Or really wasn't no racket, but anyway, I made my two brothers, both, they had children, them and their wives, and knowing they living on rented land and had cotton crops in the field. And I made the remark to the wife that I'd rather go to the army to see them brothers go and leave them children, and she couldn't take it.
What do you remember about Armistice Day?
Huh?
What do you remember about Armistice Day?
Oh, man, we all... I lived out about, well, on a straight line, about a mile and a half out of Bragg down there, and oh, boy. They'd mention, I don't know, they tied tubs behind the cars and drug them over town, I don't know. But anyway, you could hear them going on down there. I didn't go down because me and the wife was out at home.
How about sports, like football? Was that?
No. There wasn't no sports. Oh, they might have been in St. Louis, Chicago, and places like that, but I didn't know nothing about them around here.
Baseball? Muskogee didn't have a baseball team or nothing?
I never did. I played a little baseball back there, and I still like the game. I'm a Cardinal fan, I'll tell you that. And, but anyway, I'm glad them Cardinals winning that pennant. They ain't got to win yet, but they gonna win it. But football, I don't know the game, and I don't care nothing about it. I won't even sit up and look at it. I'll go to bed.
When you went to school, you said you had 5 subjects in school. Is that all you did, just go to school to study? You didn't go up and have any...
And I'll tell you something that happened to me in school that I'll never forget. I was good in my reading, history, geography, and back them days we called it grammar. I think we call it English now, but we call it grammar back then. And I was good in all of those but arithmetic. What do y'all call arithmetic now?
Math?
Math. Well, we called it arithmetic. We had raised third part arithmetic, and when you got where you could master that thing, you were doing all right. And, well, I was about, I don't know, 12, 13, 14 years old, and I was back in the first reader in that arithmetic. And we got a teacher down there, you know, the man teacher, named Certain Phrase. I never will forget that man. Learned me more about arithmetic, and he done it right quick. And he'd been there about a week, and I wasn't getting over that arithmetic, you know. And so one day it turned out school for evening recess. He wanted to keep me in, and did keep me in here. All he had to do was just tell me stay in, and I mean, I'm going to tell you something. They had discipline in the school them days. They laid down that rule and you didn't obey it, and they found it out, you got a licking. I'm telling you, and they went before the whole school.
Is that right?
That's right. But anyway, he wanted me to stay in. I couldn't imagine where I broke into these rules. And he come walking down the aisle. That's the last school building, that I left when I left that country back there. Never did go to school anymore. But he taught there 3 years, and this is his first school. And he come walking down the aisle, and he saw I stirred up. No, I mean, they went from them days. They didn't worry about it. Now they call it child abuse. Right. But anyway, you could tell I was kind of, he said, Said, it ain't something you've done, it's something you haven't done. Well, that throws me off the track again. So he comes sit down by me. That's the first time we had a desk. And well, two could sit on that little old seat, but my desk was on the back of your seat and all of that, you know. But anyway, he comes sit down by me. He said, it's you and this arithmetic. He said, you ain't getting nowhere. And he said, in your other studies, you're out there where you ought to be. And he talked on a while about it, you know, and of course I was sitting there listening. You better not talk when he's talking. So, finally he said, there's 26 letters in the alphabet. He said, you master damn, you're a good reader, you're a good speller, and you're good in all your studies but this arithmetic. And said, there's only 8 figures to be made, 10 figures to be made. And that thing just come down to its natural size when he said, just all done with them 10 figures. And I started from there, and when that school was out, I was up there where I ought to be in that arithmetic. Now that happened.
You said they were pretty strict on the kids. You remember seeing some of your classmates get spankings?
I remember seeing one boy get the blood cut out of him.
What for?
Well, for cussing the teacher. That's right.
Why did he do that?
Well, the boy was going to go home without asking the teacher, and he caught him and brought him back in the house and give him a see. Now, if you all need to go home, come and ask me, I'll let you go home. But I want to know where you're at. And so that old boy took notion to go home and not ask that teacher, and he brought him back in the house and gave him this nice whipping. And when he got through with him, that boy cussed him, and he whipped him again. He cussed him again, that third time cut the blood out of him, and the boy didn't cuss him anymore. Right there.
What do you use, a board?
And he went home, and about an hour, well, I don't guess it was an hour, here come the boy's daddy. Come there and put his foot up on them old front steps, you know. What did you cut the blood out of my boy for? And that teacher walked there at that door and said, you see that gate, that old schoolhouse fenced in with a 10 barbed wire fence, and they made the gates out of old wagon tires down to blacksmith shop, you know, they're steel. We then sailed you inside that yard, that was all right. The teacher's out there with you about half the time when you're out there playing. Girls on one side of the house and the boys on the other. And so that teacher said, you see that gate out there? Said, you get out of this yard. If you don't, I'm going to have you arrested for disturbance. And you wait till I get shut of these children this evening. You come back here and then I'll talk to you. And the old man, he left and never did come back. The boy stayed home about a week or so and come back to school, and he never did have more trouble with him. I mean, that stopped that. Another thing, them days, if you quit school, you couldn't get a job, nobody would hire you, and if somebody did hire you, your daddy go there and make a
You two, you take that board, slide it under, go. There you go, all right. Gently, keep her head straight. There you go. Slide her back on, don't move yet.